This is true. I had a friend in high school. Her name was Caddy Heron.
It's Katie.
Her friend was killed. So about a week later, Caddy writes a letter to her friend's sister. How good a friend Regina was. Real uplifting stuff. Anyway, it's a terrific letter. Caddy pours her heart and soul into it. So what happens? The dumb coos never wrote Caddy back. A true war story is never moral. It does not instruct nor suggest models of proper human behavior. You can tell a true war story if it embarrasses you, if you don't care for the truth. The dead girl's name was Regina George. She was team royalty. If North Shore was Us Weekly, she would always be on the cover. She's the queen bee, the star. Regina George. How do I even begin to explain Regina George?
Regina George is flawless.
She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus.
I hear that her hair is insured for $10,000.
One time she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
She died almost beautiful. The way the sunlight came around her and lifted her up and crushed her under a shiny yellow bus. In a true war story, it is difficult to separate what happened from what seems to happen. The angles of vision are skewed. When someone gets hit by a bus, you close your eyes and jump back to protect yourself, and then you look back for a moment and look away again. The pictures get jumbled, and you tend to miss a lot. And afterwards, when you tell about it, it sounds surreal, which makes the story seem untrue, but which in fact represents the hard, exact truth as it seemed. In many cases, a true war story cannot be believed, and in other cases, you cannot even tell a true war story. Sometimes it's just beyond telling. I heard this one, for example, from Gretchen Wieners, considering her hair is so big and full of secrets.
Oh my god, I remember this. Oh my god, I haven't seen that in forever.
This is our burn book. We cut out girls' pictures from the yearbook and write comments about them. This is Amber DeLacio. She made out with a hot dog.
Hey, Miss Heron. Take a seat. Have you seen this before?
No. I mean, yes. I've seen it before, but it's not mine.
You better get your story straight, Miss Heron, because I'm not messing around here.
It's not ours.
Amber DeLacio made out with a hot dog? That was one time.
What's this say? Dawn Skalatsky is a fat virgin. Miss Smith, this is no time to be laughing. We are going to get to the bottom of this right now.
John Schweitzer has a huge ass? Who would write that?
Who wouldn't write that?
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Whoever wrote it, I didn't think anybody was gonna see it.
Hope no one else ever does see it. Now here is what we're going to do.
Run! Come quick! Come to my house!
You can tell a true war story by the way it never seems to end. It was full military madness.
I have a confession to make. I made up a few things. There was no shooting.
I understand.
but it's still true.
What's the moral?
There's your moral.
In a true war story, if there is a moral at all, you can't extract the meaning without extracting a deeper meaning. True war stories do not generalize. It comes down to gut instinct. A true war story, if truly told, makes the stomach believe. Often in a true war story, there is not even a point, or else the point doesn't hit you until 20 years later in your sleep. This one wakes me up. That day, Karen and I had to clean Regina off the street. The gore is horrible and stays with me, but what wakes me up 20 years later is Regina Street.
Amazing. For sure.
Well, that's high school, Garden of Evil. Over here, every sin is fresh and original.
"20 years later, I could still see the sunlight on Regina's face. I can see her turning and looking back at Caddy Heron. Then she laughed and took that curious half step into the sunlight, her face suddenly bloody and shining. In the instant, it must have seemed like it was the sunlight killing her. It was not the sunlight. It was the blind bus driver. But if I could ever get the story right, how the sunlight seemed to gather her and pick her up and throw her all over the street, if I could somehow recreate the fatal whiteness, that last quick glare, the obvious cause and effect, then you would believe the last thing Regina believed, which for her must have been the final truth. Her final truth was that sunlight killed her. It's not a war story. It's a love story. It's a ghost story. You can tell a true war story if you just keep telling it. And in the end, of course, a true war story is never about war. It's about the burn book and mean girls. It's about sorrow. And it's about sisters who never write back and people who never listen.
Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my today was gonna be the day, but they'll never throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you're not to do.